Alright guys, we're back here. Kind of just a reiteration on my Real Talk video. I already said it, but I want to reiterate on a few things. So, some people told me to do my research, and I read all the comments. I didn't bother deleting any of them because I said, voice your opinion, tell me what you think. And I got messages, but the problem is they all a lot of them restated what I already was pointing out in my video. You know what I'm saying? Let me just look at a few. I did get a few positive ones, but I also got a lot of negative ones also. Someone told me the people protesting are just disrespectful millionaires, and racial oppression does not exist, and to do my research. While I'm not going to argue with you because that's your opinion, I have my opinion. The issue is they aren't trying to be disrespectful. They aren't saying necessarily that they're the ones that are oppressed, but they're standing up for the people who don't have a voice, because there's a lot of people who don't. There's a lot of people living in poverty that don't have a voice, that can't speak on that high of a level. The little guys. The big guys are speaking up for the little guys. So while they may not be completely oppressed, they know what it's like because they came from poverty. And that's a big point that I was trying to stress throughout the other video is, unless you've lived in poverty, unless you've been in the ghetto, unless you felt helpless before, hopeless, it's hard for you to give a real opinion on it, in my opinion. One that's valid because you've never dealt with it. If you are not of color, if you are not a minority, I just believe it's very hard for you to give a valid opinion because you don't know what we're going through. If that makes sense. Not me trying to say your opinion doesn't matter and yada yada, but I feel like, to me, that's hard for someone to give a valid opinion if you never dealt with that. Because first-hand accounts, as I said multiple times in another video, I've dealt with that. Someone told me I could go and tell people about it, and they do something about it, but they won't. It's freedom of speech for them to call me an N-word. It's freedom of speech for them to judge me based on my skin color. It's First Amendment right, which I don't disagree with. I just believe it's hard for anybody to give a valid statement without at least trying to put yourself in the shoes of the person you're going against, if that makes sense. We don't do a very good job of listening to one another. As I said, compromise, things like that, we're not good with that, but we always want to be right. So when I say something about Trump, I say he doesn't know what it's like. I'm not calling him an idiot, I'm not trying to talk down on him or anything. I'm just saying he didn't deal with this. He's been a millionaire his whole life. His parents gave him the money. He didn't deal with what a lot of us dealt with. Coming up in the poorest environments, dirty, roaches, like things like that. He didn't come up in that. So I don't understand how he can give such a brash opinion on it. Just swearing and stuff like that. When we have issues like this, when we're having a huge divide, like for example when 9/11 happened, George Bush didn't just call people out, he helped unite us. And many people didn't like George Bush, but he still did a good job of keeping us together, uniting us in the time when we need to be united. When we have an issue, the president is supposed to be our face. He's supposed to be that person that keeps order, keeps control. And instead of helping to unite us, he's taking things out of context and trying to cause more issues, which leads to more confrontations between someone who agrees with them kneeling and someone who doesn't agree. And I feel as though that's not what's supposed to go on. They're supposed to be uniting us. We're supposed to be united. We're supposed to be compromising. We're supposed to talk it out. We're not supposed to be spewing swear words, disrespectful, there's some N-words, something like that at people, because it's not right. We live in America. We're allowed to express our opinion. We're allowed to protest. And what makes it even more unbearable for me is the fact that Trump is calling all these people disrespectful, but he was very disrespectful to some certain veterans. John McCain, for example, he made fun of him and mocked him for getting captured. And that's wrong, because John McCain fought for our country. He got captured fighting for our country, and he now lives with permanent personal disabilities due to this. So it's just very hypocritical for him to call people out and say that they're being disrespectful when he was very disrespectful to our veterans also. If anything, the veterans should be joining and protesting also. Do you realize how poorly most veterans have been treated when they came home? I come from a long line of people who were in the military. My father, my uncles, my grandfather. My grandfather actually died from chemicals he was exposed to when he was fighting in World War II and Vietnam and Korean War, not Vietnam. But he was exposed to chemicals throughout his duration fighting in World War II and the Korean War, and he died from complications dealing with it. My father, he was discharged due to medical disabilities that occurred in the military, and he's now living on the streets. Can't get any help, and it's just kind of sad because veterans are treated like crap when they return to the United States. So if anything, they should be protesting also, in my honest opinion. That's just my opinion. As I stated past videos, I state everywhere. You don't have to agree with me. I'm not trying to argue with anybody. I'm just trying to prove what I believe is correct. Going back into the millionaires being disrespectful, if you still believe that it's just about the flag or the military and that they're just kneeling to disrespect the flag or the military, I'm sorry, but you're completely false. Kaepernick started out his protest by sitting. He would sit on the bench when they stood for the national anthem. He spoke with many veterans and he asked what would be the most respectful way to protest, and they told him kneeling. So it's not like he's kneeling because he wants to disrespect everyone fighting for our country. He respects those people. It's just the media gets a hold of a story and they put it in the worst possible context to create the most, how do I say it, the biggest spark, the biggest flame, and then everything just goes haywire because people don't know the facts and they don't care to look it up either. They don't care to research it. Many people have told me to do my research, but I've been researching it. I've done hours of research in the past few days because I didn't want to go into something uneducated. I'm trying to think of the most peaceful ways to say things so people don't get angry and try to understand what I'm saying. And it's so hard to draw the line between what people are going to find offensive and what I would find offensive. It's just tough to say a lot of these things because no matter what way I put it, there's people that are going to take it out of context and just get angry and stuff. So, I mean, that's basically truly all I had to say. It's not worth arguments. I'm willing to talk it out with anybody. I'm willing to hear anybody's side of the story. I'm not trying to throw names or get angry. I just believe that people aren't truly looking into it, and the way a lot of people have been stating it is, it's not the time or place to protest when you're on national TV. But in my opinion, that's the smartest way to protest, because people are going to be seeing it. If you don't like it, don't watch. That's all I can really say to you. If you don't like it, don't go to the games, don't watch it. But anybody who's been in the military, most of them at least, understand that that's what they fought for, the freedom to protest. And they fought for a country where we're supposed to be equal. A lot of times we aren't equal. I don't see how anyone can truly say that racial oppression doesn't exist, because it exists in many cases. But I just don't. That's basically all I had to say, guys. Just a reiteration, follow-up to my original video. If you guys liked the video, sure drop a thumbs up. Again, comment your opinion below. We don't have to be arguing, fighting. Just drop a comment below, let me know what you think, and we'll go from there. So, peace out, guys. Have a wonderful day. See you guys later.
I got love for my brothers, but we can never go nowhere unless we share with each other. We gotta start making changes. Learn to see me as a brother instead of two distant strangers. And that's how it's supposed to be. How can the devil take my brother if he's close to me? I let it go back to when we played as kids, but then changed. That's the way it is. Come on, come on.
That's just the way it is.